Namaste, good afternoon, and welcome to the KHMC Annual Day program. This day typically is to show our appreciation for the three pillars of this organization: the artists, the hosts, and the community that form the support, that are the basis for this organization. Today, we have this virtual program, and as we look back the past year, we all realize in more than one way that we have enriched ourselves and honed our internal skills. And to say that this has become a way for us to come together closer is an understatement. We have come closer more than ever before. And this program is actually a token of what you're going to see. This is also an important event where our committee members have had a chance, many hours working with the audios and videos that we were provided to them. As we performers think that it took us several takes to get this going, you can imagine the tech team working on screwing through this, going through this whole video and putting it all together. We give kudos to the tech team for all their immense creativity and hard work. So now we have Vandana Rao and Varun Chandramouli, our own KHMC committee members, to take us through this program. Vandana and Varun, over to you.
Thank you so much, Jayanti, for that warm welcome. Good evening, everybody. You're watching the 2021 Carnatic Hindustani Music Circle Annual Day program and celebration of the Indian classical arts. My name is Vandana Rao, and I will be co-emceeing this program for you along with...
Namaste, everyone. My name is Varun Chandramouli. Very excited to have you all join us today. As Jayanti Aunty mentioned, we have a very exciting lineup. To kick things off, we wanted to share a little bit of the rich heritage and culture behind KHMC.
Carnatic Hindustani Music Circle of New England is a grassroots non-profit Indian classical music organization. It was formed with the express purpose of promoting and providing, in an up-close and personal chamber setting, a platform for seasoned musicians and budding talent in Hindustani and Carnatic music genres. By hosting both these styles of music in a single forum, KHMC has, for the last 25 years, successfully drawn a broad spectrum of artists and audiences together through education and understanding of the two forms. KHMC is made possible by many host families who graciously open their homes for the concerts, by the terrific teachers in New England, and of course the artists. It is fully run by volunteers and a board who welcome tax-deductible donations to help support the organization. Do connect with us on our Facebook page at KHMC New England and on our YouTube channel at KHMC Concerts. We look forward to seeing you at one of our concerts. So to start our wonderful program this evening, our first one is a little introduction back in time to the very origins of Indian classical music. This lecture demonstration will talk about where our classical music began back in the Vedic times and how it has moved through the ages to transform, revitalize, and appeal to generations of Indians over thousands of years. Over to you, Suchita Rao, who is one of the board members of the Carnatic Hindustani Music Circle. Suchita Rao will facilitate this.
It is believed that the entire universe is made up of vibrating and pulsating energy. Vibration produces sound. Hindus believe that Om was the primordial sound that was produced at the time of creation of the universe. It is also the sacred sound that represents the most spiritual symbol in Hinduism, Buddhism, and Jainism. Om is chanted in the beginning of most Vedic chants. Listen to a prayer in praise of Ganapati and Saraswati from the Yajurved, recited by Tanya and Tamogna Kommaraju.
ज्येष्ठराजं ब्रह्मणां ब्रह्मणस्पत आन शृण्वन्नोतिभिः सीदसादनम् प्रणो देवी सरस्वती वाजेभिर्वाजिनीवती धीनामवित्र्यवतु गणेशाय नमः सरस्वत्यै नमः श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम् ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
Indian classical music is rooted in the Vedas. What are the Vedas? Vedas are the source of sacred books for the Hindus. Nearly 20,000 hymns or mantras are contained in 4 Vedas, revealing words of divine knowledge. These are the Rig Veda, the Yajurved, the Samved, and Atharvaved. Initially, only 3 musical pitches were used in the recitation of Vedic chants. These pitches were Uddat, which is the medium pitch, Anuddat, which is lower than the Uddat pitch, and Swarita, which is a raised pitch compared to the Uddat pitch. Sometimes an elongated sound, a Dirgha Swarita, was also used. That was just a Swarita note chanted for twice the time. Listen now to a chant from Rig Veda, Samana Suktam, recited by Sri Janaki Ram. It uses the Uddat, Anuddat, and the Swarita pitches.
समिद्युवसे वृषन्नग्ने विश्वान् यर्य आ इळस्पदे समिद्यसे स नो वसून्याभरा संगच्छद्वं संवदद्वं संवो मनांसि जानताम् देवा भागं यथा पूर्वे सञ्जानाना उपासते समानो मन्त्रः समितिः समानी समानं मनः सह चित्तमेषाम् समानं मन्त्रमपि मन्त्र एव समानेन वो हविषा जुहोमि समानीव आकूतिः समाना हृदयानि वः समानमस्तु वो मनो यथा वस्सु सहासति ॐ शान्तिः शान्तिः शान्तिः.
The third Veda out of the 4 Vedas, the Samved, is the Veda of melodies and chants. A majority of the verses in the Samved are from the Rig Veda. More than 3 basic musical pitches are employed in the recitation of Samved chant. Gradually, over time, with the continued study of musical pitches and the continued use of the musical pitches, the concept of Shruti, Swara, and Saptak evolved. The smallest gradation of the musical pitch is the Shruti. The ancient treatise Natya Shastra mentions 22 of these microtones or Shrutis. 7 of these are the basic swaras sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa, which constitute a musical scale known as the saptak. Shadaj sa is the defining note of the scale. Rishabh, Re, Gandhar, Ga, Madhyam, Ma, Pancham, Pa, Dhaivat, Dha, and Nishad, Ni are the remaining 6 notes. Over time, with the manipulation of the musical scale, by moving the tonic, the shaj, to the other notes in the musical scale, the concept of a raga evolved. Raga, of course, is much more than just a musical scale. It is not just an ascending scale and a descending scale. It is a melodic framework of musical phrases that can color your mind with emotion. Tala is a rhythmic framework, and Indian rhythm is cyclical, so it operates in cycles. So, raga and tala framework became the central concepts in Indian music. Listen now to a musical rendition of the same Samana Suktam that you heard recited by Sri Janaki Rama earlier, now as a musical rendition composed by the late Sri Pandit Vinay Chandra Maudgalya. Sangachhatvam Samvatatvam Sango Manamse Janatam Sangachhatvam Samvatatvam Samvo Manamse Janatam Deva Bhagam Yatha Purve Sanjanana Upasate Samaneva Akurte Samana Hridayatniva Samanamastu Vomano Yathava Susahasati. Indian classical music uses the raga and tala framework for creative improvisation. Many distinct musical genres also rely on this framework. In the north, Dhrupad and Dhamar evolved from Prabandhagan. With Central Asian invasions, Indian music was influenced by the Muslims, and Khayal and Tarana genres came into existence. In South, Varnam, Kriti, Ragam Tanam Pallavi are our classical genres. Semi-classical music and light music all over India also rely on the Ragatala framework, but they take more liberty than classical genres as far as observing the rules and rigor of classical music. From ancient times, when Vedic chants were used as a form of prayer or worship, to the present time, when classical music, light music, and Bollywood music are popular, the transmission of music from the guru or the teacher to the shishya or the student has played a central role in the preservation of our music. In Indian music, shabd, which is text or speech, nad, which is sound, and guru, the teacher, these are very important aspects in our Indian music. We say, Nad Brahma, Shabd Brahma, Guru Brahma.
Suchita ji, thank you so much for such an educational, spellbinding lecture demonstration. Really provided us with a comprehensive understanding of the origins of music. So thank you so much. We really enjoyed it. For our next piece, we have an extraordinary piece that was titled Music from the North and South. It's a Bhupali Bilahari mashup. It's a performance by Hindustani Carnatic music students from across New England. The concept for this item was conceived by Mrs. Vaishnavi Kondapalli and Mrs. Uma Shankar. This piece is actually a fusion of sargam, which means the notations in the Hindustani rag bhoop, composed by the Vidushi Arti Ankalikar Tikekar in a popular Carnatic music composition, Raravenu in the Swarajati in the Ragam Bilahari. Without doubt, I want to give a lot of thanks, and KHMC wants to give a lot of thanks to the teachers that put in a lot of tireless effort preparing their students and putting this piece together. And last but not least, to Mr. Shivash Santanakrishnan for his tireless work in audio and video production. Please enjoy this next piece.
Wow, what an amazing performance that was, with over 50 singers, 10 different musicians, over a dozen teachers from the New England area, both Hindustani and Carnatic music, all getting together under the keen guide of Uma Shankar and Vaishnavi Kondapalli. Couldn't be a much greater showcase of what Carnatic Hindustani music is all about. Learning of music, but fusing and learning from each other's genres. Let's now move on to our next item, which is a panel discussion of music in a new virtual world. This past year has been unique, no doubt. Lots of challenges that have transcended our personal lives, our professional lives, and no doubt has impacted our musical lives, our music education, music performances, and musical journeys of all of us who are students and practitioners, singers of music. Our next item includes KHMC board members in conversation with each other to share their experiences as teachers, as performers, as music practitioners this past year, how this past year has worked for them. The panel discussion is being facilitated by Jyoti Sharma and includes other panel members Mali Santanakrishnan, Uma Shankar, Jayanti Ghatraju, Sivakumar Santanakrishnan, and Nilima Chaturvedi. Over to you, Jyoti.
Thank you, Vandana, for that wonderful introduction. We were very much looking forward to this panel discussion. As you can see, we have experts with us today, and let's move on. I'll be asking some questions to our experts of panel here. And the first question is for Mali. So Mali, I know you have been performing a lot online. So I thought this would be a great question for you. And the question is that what are some of the challenges that you are facing as an artist due to the COVID and due to this online trend that is going on? Over to you.
Thank you, Jyoti, and welcome everybody. It is indeed challenging. There is no question about that. I have like a couple of points, 2-3 points in that direction. One is the sound check and variabilities that goes with the sound check, right? There are so many things that happens. There is Zoom, there is Facebook, there is YouTube. Each system has its own mind. And on top of it, our own feedback and our own monitors, our own system. There are so many variables. The frustration that builds before the concert for a sound check is enormous. By the time you are done sound check and you start, you are drained. So over a period of time, how to manage that is one thing that we are all learning. I'm sure that we'll get better, but that's a very interesting challenge, right? In a normal concert situation, you come in 15 minutes, sound check, you go, and everybody, you are in it. Now it's like the process of getting in itself is big. That's one thing that's challenging. The second thing is the ability to play with artists in person, right? That interaction that you have with the artist, that the chemistry that you have with the artist, both our own experts, like all you guys here and the senior musicians here, as well as people coming from India, that I miss a lot for sure. Like, going on stage with all the artists, all the friends and artists. That's a point that I definitely miss. And one more thing that is also challenging is the audience interaction. Every time you have a concert, you play in front of audience, the energy that you get from the audience and feed off of it is not, that's something that's irreplaceable, right? So you cannot simulate that in a studio environment. Studio environment is, you don't even allow people to clap, because if there's one person sitting in front and clap, that will sound like there is not enough audience. It gives a different image. So there is no clapping, there is nothing. That interaction is a big challenge. So these are some of the things that I think that I do see as challenges in a virtual environment. Uh, we all hope that this will get better and we'll all start seeing, artists and everybody in person pretty soon. That's some of my thoughts on that particular topic.
Well, great. I think you, in a very short answer, you actually summarized a lot. And I so much agree with you, because as KHMC committee, we have been, hosting these concerts over a year now. And congratulations to the entire committee for that. But yeah, so let's move on. Again, thank you so much, Mali. I really
Sure.
appreciate that. And now we will be moving on to our next question for our next panelist, Uma. And she's also a music teacher. I think she doesn't need any introduction here. So, Uma, hi, how are you doing?
Hi, Jyoti. I'm good.
Good.
How are you?
Doing well. What are some challenges that you are facing as a teacher? And also, how are students adapting to the music in a new virtual world? Now, this virtual world has become such a key word, right? We hear this a lot. Everything is virtual, but uh, as a music teacher, we are experiencing, very intensely. So the stage is yours, Uma. Please go ahead.
Thank you, Jyoti, for the opportunity. And hi, everyone. Yes, as you said, it was initially very hard because we are all used to in person teaching, in person learning. And suddenly we had to switch ourselves to an online platform. So even the tiniest thing, like keeping the shruti on your side for the students, the video, the how do you sit for the class, I have to see the whole screen, I have to I have to see the talam. So there are even the tiniest things were all a learning curve. We were all learning all these things over again and again. Every class was like, okay, this doesn't look good to us, so we're going to make sure that next class we will have a slight shruti on your side, and I'm also going to have a shruti on my side, so that I can hear and you can also hear and sing. Similarly, I have to remind them, okay, when you keep your video camera, make sure that your whole video is seen, so that I can see your talam. So a lot of tiny things, and also like recording in the Zoom. So I teach through Zoom. So if you are in a laptop, you can record the whole session, but if you're on a phone or any other device, it doesn't allow you to record. So it was definitely a huge learning curve for both myself and the students, and I feel that I mean, we have all grown in this, and it was a great experience, a great learning curve, I would say. And hoping that things will all get back to normal, and I can see everybody in person and start teaching and start experiencing things in person, because that's something I really miss. The interaction with the students in person is something that I really miss. So hoping to get things back to normal. Thank you.
Yeah, definitely we miss seeing our students, but I'm really amazed that how students have adapted. Looks like they have adapted even more, more seamlessly than us, because they also are attending schools online, and then on top of it, they are doing most of their extracurricular activities online, just even like dance. Welcome, Jayanti ji. How are you?
Good, thank you. Namaste, everyone.
Great. Great to have you today here. And, we thought that we should not miss this opportunity about asking about like a question about like how you are managing it, the same thing with the dance. And also, I would like to find out from you that going forward, what do you think will be the situation, of music classes and concerts, and that includes obviously the dance, performances as well. And will there be any hybrid situation, or just in person? Like, what are your predictions regarding this? Over to you.
First question first, how the dance classes are. In a way, I look at it is, and my students have taught me this as well, that we have now taken the time to look at ourselves, evaluate our strengths and weaknesses, because we never had the chance to look inside or look at ourselves to see, where our strengths are and where the weaknesses are, and then fix them. And in my case, at least, I asked for a practice video. So these students were never used to doing a practice video unless it was they had a performance. So now they know, and I tell them that it is more for me to make sure that I've taught you right. So it is more from that perspective. And most of the students do send me practice videos regularly, and they do watch. So it has become a lot easier for me to correct, so to say. So it has been a good learning experience, as many of us have known, but specifically from the dance side, I feel that this is one important takeaway that that has come up after the lockdown. To answer the second question, I think it's going to be more gradual and phased, whether it comes in-person classes or concerts. And I want to give kudos to our hosts that were graciously doing this anyway, even before the lockdown. That I know I have elderly parents, and when we went to a host's house and they're not able to go downstairs, they painstakingly made sure that they would stream that upstairs on the TV. So our gracious hosts are willing there and are there for doing anything for a good listening experience. So I'm thinking it's going to take us that kind of a hybrid model, and it is going to take us up to us to be figuring out what works for us. I think that we have to just wait and see and how things play out. But that's what I'm looking at the moment. And thank you for the opportunity.
Great. I think you covered a lot of points in such a short time. I think students becoming more independent in their practice, and looks like maybe they're taking practice even more seriously, because now they also have homework to send it to you as a recording, right? So at least I'm experiencing that. I really appreciate, like, my students, every week I assign them homework, and they would send the recording, and we as a teacher get to evaluate and help them out. Thank you so much, Jayantiji, for that wonderful insight about hybrid versus in person. This is going to be something when we go back to normal, we are going to value it, and we will be adapting to something like a hybrid model, or maybe wait and see how it goes and then act accordingly, because safety is first, right? Great, thank you again. I think that kind of brings me to the next curious question, and you all should be watching today's videos, the amazing work of our New England students. Thank you to all the students and teachers who took this initiative. We thought it would be small, but it turned out to be really big. That video is completely edited by Shiva, and he spent hours and hours. Okay, so this is the question for you, Siva. So what are the tech issues that you faced, when arranging the concerts or artists? And you can just mention any two such situations. So please, the stage is yours. Go ahead.
Sure, Jyoti. Thank you for that question. Till last year, we have always been in person, and a host opened their house for us to organize the concerts. We are very grateful to the host. We not only continued by pivoting to online performances, but we also increased our frequency. We were doing once every 2 months before, and now we are doing weekly. But that also meant we needed to understand the sound challenges and the technical challenges and make it easy for the artists. In the beginning, Mali mentioned that how the artists can get frustrated if the sound test is very painful or if it takes too long. I completely echo that, because the artists are putting so much time into practice. A lot of our performers or students, we are providing the platform for them. They are putting so much effort and practice to come and perform, and we want to make sure that they are heard really well. So two aspects here. One is the sound setup where there are multiple options for the artists. They can use their laptop or phone or iPad directly as the microphone, or they can have an external single mic and use that as the microphone, or some have a sound system that they use as a microphone, which allows varied levels of flexibility and sophistication to present the audio and adjust the frequencies and whatnot. But not all artists are very savvy in these technologies. We try to educate them through our sound test group, educate them about the options they have, how they want to proceed, and provide them with detailed set of instructions. Ultimately, we want to make sure the artists are comfortable and they are not thinking about the sound and they are only thinking about their singing and exploring their music. That's what we want them to be focusing on. And the next part is the internet connection and the Zoom settings itself. Early on, we decided to use Zoom as our streaming option, and through Zoom, we are going Facebook Live. Zoom provides sophisticated audio settings that allows us to have like good music streaming, but at the same time, they continuously update. Every 2 weeks or 3 weeks, they put another update and some settings change and our instructions are outdated. So we try to keep up there and also help the artists understand how they need to set up Zoom in order to have a clean streaming experience. Unlike many organizations, we do most of our concerts live. So there is no recording and premiering most of the time. We are going live. So this means that a good connection of internet is very critical. We ask the artists to connect through a wired connection. If that is not possible for them, then we ask them to locate themselves very close to the router and disconnect all other connections from that router. These days, it is very data intensive. Whether we are using our phone or iPad or laptop, so much bandwidth is shared. So we try to, for that period of the program, we ask them to disconnect other devices so that good connection is there. We still experience issues, but we have a great team here. Our team works together really well, and our team also communicates really well with the artists to make them comfortable, give them the time and space to go through that learning curve in cases where they are very new to this, so that they are able to perform without thinking about this when the actual performance starts. So I guess like it's a team effort. It's not just one person being able to do this. It is a team effort, and we are so lucky to have such a great team.
Yeah, I think I totally agree with you. I think it has been a learning curve even for us as a KHMC, committee, because basically to begin with, we are all so passionate about music. We are volunteers of music, and we served as in-person or in-person concerts, but then we also adapted very well. Our main goal is always music, and to support music whatever it takes. I think we as committee are doing it for the community, and we can feel that energy in the community. Our community is so much engaged with our concerts. Meanwhile, I would request all of you to please like our Facebook page, and we do have the YouTube channel. Please do subscribe to it. Please also support us by donation. That will be great. So with that, I would like to move on to the next panelist here. Hello, Nilima ji. How are you doing? Hope you're doing well.
Thanks, Jyoti. I'm doing fine. How are you?
So, Nilima ji, I do have a last question for you today. And my question for you is that during COVID times, how did you inspire or motivated your students to keep up with music practice and performances? So over to you.
I would say this pandemic has opened our eyes, everybody's eyes, to the power of online communication, and which I did not do it before. But I think if we see online classes, online concert, everything is happening so smoothly. People adopted this thing without a problem, like as if it was there. And as everybody I heard today is talking about what they have learned, it was a learning curve for not only for us as the teachers or performers, it was a learning curve for our students too, that they actually, and everybody adopted very fast. So, but I think with this virtual world, we have a lot of opportunities for students to get the platform. We are providing opportunities, online opportunities to these kids. And our own KHMC has provided a platform to every week we have been successfully doing the concert, and we have like people are lined up for us. So this is a good learning experience for or exposure, I would call it, for our students too, because all these students are watching. Earlier, I don't think so our students were have that many opportunities to get interacted or get exposed to that kind of a culture. So now I have been telling my students, please listen to these concerts, and every time they hear somebody, they come back with some questions. And also that motivates them to practice more, because I am telling them, okay, listen, I want you to perform in this platform, or there are many other organizations as well, and you will get more opportunity. So they are more motivated to perform and practice. And online communication also allowed to build up what do you call it, on and one-on-one bonding with these students. Earlier, it was a personal touch when they were coming my home and I was teaching them. But there were some group classes, there were some individual classes, but one-on-one bonding was happening, I see now, because me and that kid is there. And then they are sending me recording frequently. I am open to for any advice to them, so they are calling me or sending me their recording. And so it has changed the world. Like, I don't think so I was doing this before pandemic time. So yeah, pandemic has given us something good.
I
Thank you.
totally agree with you. I think a lot of things pre-pandemic, we took for granted, but now post-pandemic, it looks like we all will be very mindful. So with that, I think we will wind up today's panel discussion. In a really nutshell, we covered a lot of topics. I hope our viewers got some insight regarding the music in the virtual world. And we can't wait to see you all in person. I hope you all stay safe. And once again, I thank you all the panelists here, our KHMC volunteers, panelists, who are a great team to work with. Please do visit KHMC Facebook page, and please do consider donations for the KHMC. We will be sharing our PayPal link for the same. Back to you, Vandana. Thank you so much for hosting today's annual day again, and thank you, everybody. Namaste.
Thank you.
Namaste.
What a wonderful and informative panel discussion that clearly touches every one of us in our musical experiences this past year, and how we've all been able to pull together and find positivity and new creative ways to learn and perform. To introduce our next item now, I would like to invite my co-host, Varun.
Thank you so much, Vandana, Auntie. Our next item is Music in Motion. And once again, it is a phenomenal piece which we're very excited to share with you all today. It is said that dance is music in motion. Today, we'd like to bring you two senior and passionate dancers, Janani Swami and Asha Nadipuram, will be presenting at Dilana, actually a Bharatanatyam piece, on the dance of pure joy. So this is a composition actually by the great patriotic poet, Subrahmanya Bharati. Choreography was set to the composition by their guru, Srimati Raji Narayan, and Ragam Desh and Adidas. This piece is also titled Desha Mutumari. Please enjoy the program. Thank you.
Tatatim tananadim nadatani tomtatani 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 nada da dim nada tani tom da tani dim tata dim tana nada da dim nada tani tom da tani dim. tani tom tar tani ti tat ti tana nadir dirim nadir tani tom tar tani ti tat ti tana nadir dirim நம்பினோர் கெடுவதில்லை தேசமுத்துமாரி நான்கு மறை தீர்ப்பு தேசமுத்துமாரி அம்பிகையை சரண் புகுந்தார் தேசமுத்துமாரி அதிகவரம் பெறலாம் தேசமுத்துமாரி தம் தருகிடதும் தகதருகிடதும் தருகிடதும் தித்தளாங்கு தகதோம் தளாங்கு தகதோம் தகதோம் தித்தளாங்கு தகதோம் தளாங்கு தகதோம் தகதோம் தித்தளாங்கு தகதோம் தளாங்கு தகதோம் தகதோம் தத்தட்டி தன நாது திருதீம் நாது தனி தொந்தர் தனி தீம் நாது தனி தொந்தர் தனி தீம் நாது தனி தொந்தர் தனி தீம் தத்தட்டி தன நாது திருதீம் நாது தனி தொந்தர் தனி தீம் தத்தட்டி தன நாது திருதீம்.
That was beautifully done. As you can see, music and dance are so closely intertwined in Indian culture, going back many, many centuries. Our classical music has accompanied classical dances of various types throughout the ages. I just wanted to let folks know that we are aware that some of our videos have been a little glitchy with the video aspect not coming through as smoothly. So we will be reposting all the videos from today's program on our Facebook page. So please do like our Facebook page and keep abreast of the various events and concerts and postings that we make from time to time. KHMC also has a YouTube channel called KHMC Concert. All our videos are also posted there. So please stay plugged in and be part of our larger community. Let's now move on to our next item. Our next item is a Carnatic Hindustani rapid fire. It's a conversation and an interactive session between two of our KHMC board members, Vaishnavi Kondapalli, who is a Hindustani vocalist, and Smita Krishnan, who is a Carnatic violinist. These two wonderfully talented musicians will chat with each other to cover various topics such as how to practice music, how each of their approaches to their genres of music have been, how a rag is explored in a Hindustani style and in the Carnatic style, who inspires them, and so much more. So sit back and partake in a wonderfully insightful session on the two genres of Indian classical music.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Carnatic Hindustani Rapid Fire Round. I'm Smita.
Hi, I'm Vaishnavi. Are you ready, Smita?
Yeah.
First question. Why did you take up Indian classical music, and from where do you draw your inspiration?
I took up Carnatic music because my brother was doing it and I wanted to do everything he did. And once I realized that I had a knack for it, I decided to pursue it more regularly. And now I actually draw inspiration from my peers. I look at all the people that I've grown up with practicing and learning music, and I find that to be extremely inspirational because they're extremely talented and they work very hard. So that's where I am right now. And same question to you.
So with me, I think it all started with me singing a lot of bhavgeet, and they were all rag based. And rag was something very melodic and very beautiful. And I somehow felt that I should do more of that. And I did attend a few Hindustani concerts, and I really enjoyed the whole presentation of how they went from a slow tempo to a drut lay, and the tumris and the bhajans they sang and all of that. So that kind of made me want to do Hindustani classical music. So I did learn a bit of Carnatic, but I switched to Hindustani as I was more drawn to the way they explore the rag. And I draw inspiration from many different sources. As I teach, I draw inspiration from my students, the way they work hard and they present such beautiful pieces back to me. And I feel like I have to do my job too by doing the same, do my homework and work hard. My Guruji, of course, and my Guru Bahens and all of them.
That's wonderful. Second question, if you had to pick two artists, one yesteryear and one contemporary, who would they be?
So 2 is a very hard number to pick because there are so many greats, right? So the one person, if I have to choose from yesteryears, would be D.V. Paluskar. Something about him, his singing, the way his voice is, the way he brings the bhav in a song, in any piece that he presents, is just out of this world. And of course, Kishori ji, my Guruji, actually was the one who actually inspires me, makes me, I just want to sing like her, because the way she explores a piece and the way she brings out the rag in a line is beautiful. So I just want to sing like her. So she's my greatest inspiration, and I think it's her.
So I have a cop-out answer because technically I'm a violinist, but I'm also a vocalist, so I get to pick one of each. So for yesteryear, I pick Nedanudi Krishnamurti. I think that his development of ragam is exceptional. I think his presentation of kritis is so motivating and captivating. And then as a violinist, obviously one of the greats, M.S. Gopalakrishnan. I grew up listening to him and wanting to emulate the way that he could play anything that was sung on the violin and play it better. So I think that there was a certain type of artist that could handle M.S. Gopalakrishnan as an accompanist because he would always outshine whatever was performed. And then for contemporary, I'm a big fan of Ramakrishnan Murthy. He's very young. He's actually a disciple of my guru. And he's an inspiration to me because he actually grew up in the United States and then moved back to India and pursued music. And his just the way that he carries ragams and the way that he performs is so it's extremely mature in the way that he presents a concert. And as a violinist, contemporary artist, actually Charumati Raguraman, she is very talented. She's a student of T.N. Krishnan, and I think as a solo artist as well as accompanist, she's exceptional.
Awesome. So the third question, most challenging aspect of music, and how do you go about tackling it, and what do you find most interesting aspect of music?
So for me, the most challenging aspect of music is also the most interesting aspect of music. For me, talam and rhythm are extremely challenging. I find that to be one of my weaknesses. So in order to tackle it, I spend a lot of time working with mridangists. So I like to spend a lot of time working with them to be able to hold kala pramanam and hold talam and be able to maintain rhythm, whether it be in Chatushrajadi or Tishrajadi or whatever it may be. And the other aspect of tackling it is actually practicing vadnams, being able to sing vadnams and play vadnams in at least 3 speeds, with including tishram. So that helps a lot. And being able to have that talam control when you play and not being rushed through everything. And that's also why I find Carnatic music to be the most interesting, because I think that our talam structure is so complex, it's so mathematically driven. So the limits are endless when it comes to talam in Carnatic music. And I think that's one of the areas where Carnatic music just sort of excels when you compare it to any other style of music from around the world.
Oh, nice. We do have Aitabla Pro that we keep using for keeping us in tal. And it's so methodical, and it's kind of keeps you absolutely in tal because it's like a metronome almost. It's a machine, right? So for me, I think the biggest challenge for me is gathering my thoughts and presenting it in a rag, because mostly Hindustani musicians present one rag most of the time in a concert, and just it's hard to mugify 40 minutes of it, right? So you are doing your own, what you call manodharmam is what we always do with the Vilambit structures, or even for that matter, some of the tans that we belt out. Sometimes some of them just keep flowing when we are doing it. So for me, the biggest challenge is to maintain the pace and bring your thought, what you're thinking, into your voice and be able to deliver it perfectly, and with the tal, with the bhav, with the flow, with the rag structure, framework, and all of that. So that's a work in progress. I think the way we can tackle it is only through I think dedication, practice, and there is no shortcut, I feel, unfortunately. So what is the most interesting aspect is just how this whole thing, as you said, you had the same exact point as your aspect of interest also, right? Same thing with me. When you have worked hard and you have put in something in place and you have delivered a beautiful structure and it has come out beautifully and the sum has come, you have delivered it to the sum, the joy you get out of it, and the way when an artist also is culminating to the sum, when you're listening to an artist also, that gives you a lot of joy, and that's what I enjoy the most.
That's wonderful, and you're right. There's no shortcuts for sure. So the next question is, how do you explore a ragam or a rag, as you would call it?
So in the Indian classical music, I guess, also applies to Carnatic music, a rag always shows itself in its aroh and avroh, right? The way we use sa re ga ma pa dha ni sa sa ni dha pa ma ga re sa, or what notes are in that rag and what comes before what note on the ascent and descent, and understanding that kind of and applying that the right way, right? Reveals the rag to you. And certain rags have certain chalans, we call chalan. Chalan is basically how it flows, like a river, you know, how it flows, how the rag is blossoming, how it is evolving. So that is only, I think, possible if you learn the piece in Gurumukh. You know, the Guru has to teach you, guide you to understand a rag, to be able to perform a rag, to be able to totally assimilate that rag into your being so that you can actually deliver it. And also Bharat is something that we do all the time in Hindustani music. That is, we treat every note starting from the sa and the lower notes and going back all the way up to the higher sa. So every note is treated, every note is explored, and all the variations around that note, what comes after that note, why does like nirega madhanisa, why dhanisa, madhanisa in the ascent versus where is pa, right? Things like that. So it's all practice, learning it the right way, and also you doing your homework.
For me, it is learning as many kritis as I can in a ragam. I think that the composers are the teachers in this respect. They have incorporated so many prayogams, I guess is the word that we use. So these are key phrases of any ragam, and there are key phrases that fall at every single swaram or every single note in the arohanam and avarohanam. So I think that's key, being able to draw inspiration from many different kritis, from many different composers, because every composer has a different take on a ragam. That's the first thing. The second thing is listening. I think that going back to concerts and listening and drawing inspiration from artists who you admire and want to emulate, I think that's extremely beneficial, even though, you know, we're trying to do manodharmam and we're trying to create something new. I think that when you go back and you try to emulate, that's actually when you can create new things, by knowing where other people are drawing from and how they are developing a ragam and being able to put structure to everything. And then the third thing is actually a practicing trick that T.M. Krishna does with his students. So what he does during class, he says, okay, sing Suriti Ragam, but you're only allowed to sing between sa and pa, the low sa and madhyama pa. And the interesting thing is that if you hit any other note that is outside of that range, he makes you start again. So the key is to develop as many phrases as you can within the prayogams of the ragam, within that range, and that forces your brain to think beyond the scope of what you normally would do. And so that I also apply in my own practice. Of course, this is on top of learning kritis and listening to the greats.
Yeah, absolutely wonderful. Actually, if you look at the compositions, as you said, mentioned about the greats who composed music, same thing goes with Indian Hindustani classical music also. All the greats, when you listen to the Malkons, when you listen to a bandish in Malkaus, you know this is Malkaus, right? Because the bandish is a textbook for you to understand Malkaus, the bandish itself. So yeah. And so the next question. If you had only 30 minutes to practice, how would you use that time most effectively?
For me, as a violinist, varnams are always where we go back to. I think varnams allow you to practice a ragam, be able to practice speed, and also practice talam all in one. So I generally will go back and practice an Adatala Varnam because those tend to be the most challenging. So being able to play an Adatala Varnam at extremely slow speeds. So starting at a very slow Kala Pramanam and then working your way up, including Tishram and all of those things. And then eventually building up to a point where you can play third speed comfortably is how I normally like to use a limited practice session, because it's something that's extremely targeted. It's something that you're not trying to learn something new, you're just trying to improve upon something that you already know. So I think that's the most effective way to use 30 minutes. Using 30 minutes to learn something completely new is often ineffective because it's just not enough time.
So for me, I think 30 minutes is really too short, first of all. What I would do, first of all, is to put away my phone, which is a huge distraction. Right? And then, which not always happens, but still. And then I would always go back to what do I want to learn today, or what am I wanting to work on, what piece. So that piece is what I'll focus on completely, whether it is learning a Vilambit Bandish today, or doing my alaps today, or am I doing a Drut Bandish today, or what am I doing? Am I doing a new bhajan today, or what is my goal? What do I want to learn today is what I have to introspect. What am I in the mood? Because sometimes if I'm not in the mood of like slow tempo, I'm not going to do justice to my 30 minutes. Yeah. So I just have to gauge myself. What's my mood, and what do I want to do, and what do I really want to learn in this week, right? So that's what I'll focus on and try to make the most out of my 30 minutes. And usually off late, for me, I'm not getting my usual 1-2 hours of practice, and it's getting harder for me to really sit down and practice. So it's become all the more important for me to focus and figure out what I want.
Yeah, I think that's why this question is so important, right? We all live in a world where we probably, as children, we grew up, spending hours practicing because we had no responsibilities. But now, oftentimes, I tell my students, like, don't set the bar that you have to sit and practice for 2 hours. Even if you have 15 minutes, just sit down and touch your violin. It makes a big difference in the grand scheme of things. But knowing what to do with that short chunk of time, and knowing that rather than trying to spread yourself thin, picking one thing. I think that was the common theme between both of our answers. Like, pick one thing and do it right for 30 minutes, like focus on that. And I think that's really important. Well, that was our rapid fire session. Thank you very much for joining us today, and we'll move on to the next session.
Thank you.
Vaishnavi and Smita, thank you so much for sharing your inspiration, your insights, and just your approach to how you're performing, practicing on a daily basis, and sharing a lot of these tidbits of wisdom to your students every so often. So really appreciate that discussion. Up next, we have a bhajan in Ragam Bhairavi, which is actually presented to you all by our KHMC committee members. It is actually Jagat Janani in Bhav Tarini. It's a beautiful composition on Ma Durga, written and composed by the legendary classical vocalist, Padma Shri Dr. Prabha Atre. Today's presentation, in fact, has been coordinated by our board members, as I mentioned, Nilima Ji, who you just heard from, in fact, and we have several other singers, Jayanti Ji, Jyoti Ji, Nilima Ji, Suchita Ji, Uma Ji, Vaishnavi Ji, and Vandana Ji as well. On instruments, we have Mali Uncle on mridangam, Shiva Uncle on violin, Pranav on tabla, Nilima Ji once again on harmonium. And without saying, this piece would not be possible without the audio production and video production help of Nilima Ji, Pranav, and Jyoti Ji. So please sit back and enjoy this final piece.
जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा तू भवानी महाकाली तू भवानी महाकाली तू शिवानी मंगला जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा तू भवानी महाकाली तू भवानी महाकाली तू शिवानी मंगला शारदा सरस्वती ज्ञान देवी वंदना शारदा सरस्वती ज्ञान देवी वंदना शांत सुख की हो विमला ज्ञान दान हो सबला जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा तू भवानी महाकाली तू भवानी महाकाली तू शिवानी मंगला लक्ष्मी धन की संपदा कोई लक्ष्मी धन की संपदा कोई खुशी मुनि जन सकल प्रिया खुशी मुनि जन सकल प्रिया हो महाराज चंद्रा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा तू भवानी महाकाली तू भवानी महाकाली तू शिवानी मंगला शारदा तु ज्ञानदा लक्ष्मी लोह संपदा शारदा तु ज्ञानदा लक्ष्मी लोह संपदा काली दुर्गा शक्तिमां कोटि है तुम्हें प्रणाम जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणी मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा तू भवानी महाकाली तू भवानी महाकाली तू शिवानी मंगला जननी भवतारिणि मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा जगत जननी भवतारिणि मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा मोहिनी तु नवदुर्गा.
What a lovely composition and beautiful rendition by our board members. It was a pleasure and a lot of fun for us to pull this item together for all of you. I do want to thank, besides all the singers and the musicians, I want to thank Sri Lakshmi Srinivasan from Sai Vogue for all her help with bringing the saris for us from India, and the blouses stitched in a very short time frame. It worked out very nicely, and we wanted to thank her for her hard work as well. That brings us to the end of our presentation. I do want to make sure that folks know that our program will be aired on Facebook as well as on our YouTube channel. We will have full versions of all our videos without the lag that you may have seen in the program today. So do stay tuned. Certainly the organization Carnatic Hindustani Music Circle that Shri Suresh Mathur began and started his vision 27 years ago to bring together both genres of music and give a platform for local musicians, teachers, students to come together and share their love of our wonderfully rich heritage of Indian classical music. With that, I would like to invite the president of the Carnatic Hindustani Music Circle Board, Mali, to say a few words. Over to you, Mali.
Thank you, Vandana. This is indeed a very memorable annual day. There's no question about that. And I'm very proud to be part of this community, this team, incredible team, the teachers, the students who have poured that everything into the past year and into this event itself. It is just remarkable. And given the pandemic and how the KHMC team has come together over the last year and engaged the community so beautifully week after week after week without any pause, that has been amazing year. Thank you everybody for making that happen. And last but not least, I'm looking forward to a great year ahead, and also the post-COVID in-person interactions that I'm looking forward to having with all the KHMC hosts, teachers, students, audience, everybody, the volunteers, everybody. Once again, thank you everybody.